Good evening. I said, where's the microphone? Well, I don't ever need a microphone. Some of the others might, but I don't need microphones. So if you can't hear me in the back, you let me know, because I can get louder. I'm going to talk about a few bills tonight, and as Steve Massengill said a few minutes ago, there's so many bills that pass, and there's so many legislature updates that we would have you here to midnight if we tried to give them all. So I'm just going to talk about a few and then pass some time on to the others. I don't want to take everybody's time. The first bill I'm going to talk about tonight is the transgender bill, and we did get that one passed. That was a good bill. So you thought I needed that? Okay. All right, the first bill I'm going to talk about tonight is the transgender bill, and it was a good bill. The only thing I found wrong with it, instead of being age 17 and under, I thought it should include all ages, because God does not make mistakes. I don't think that we should allow sex changes, period. But that bill did pass. It's a good bill for anybody that's 17 and under. The parents cannot choose for them to have a transgender change. The parents cannot choose for them to have any puberty blockers, nothing. They have to wait until they're 18 years old to make that decision themselves. At 18 years old, I didn't have sense enough to make a decision like that, and I just don't feel like kids this day and time do either. So for me, I voted for this bill because, like I said, the only thing I would have changed on this bill is it should have been all ages. And then the next bill I want to talk about is Senate Bill 2187 for disabled veterans. I'm all for the veterans. I'm telling you, they fought and died for our country, and the ones that are still here with us, I thank them so very much. And we did allow them to purchase 2 tags for $1 each in their county for their personal vehicles. So I thought that was a big plus, especially in the state of Mississippi, because if one of them goes and buys a new car, they're looking at $1,200 or $1,300 for a tag, or we are, but they're allowed to purchase it for $4. So I'm just very proud of that bill. And then we had another bill, House Bill 912, which was on firearms, on the firearm suppressor, not the firearm itself, but suppressors. And for firearm suppressors that are manufactured in the state of Mississippi and remaining in the state of Mississippi, they are not subject to federal laws and regulations. And as you know, Biden's going to come after our firearms sooner or later, and suppressors and everything else. So these that are manufactured in the state of Mississippi, now I'm talking about the suppressors, they will not be subject to the federal laws. Then I want to talk about a couple bills that did not pass. And I'm going to talk about one from last year in just a minute, but for this year, the bills that did not pass, the state tax, income tax bill, that bill should have passed. Tate Reeves wanted that bill to pass. He supported it 100%. Philip Gunn, our speaker, Tate Reeves, our governor, they wanted that bill to pass, and it should have passed. But the one person that held it up was Delbert Hoseman. He killed it. And I don't agree with him killing it, but it happened. So I think that in the state of Mississippi, that we should not have an income tax, Mississippi income tax, because if you take that money and give it back to the people who have worked hard to earn it, then what are they going to do with it? They're going to go spend it, and it's going to create more money in the state of Mississippi, and also more taxes will be paid. So then the taxes will make up for the money that was sent back to us, amongst other things. So I was just really disappointed that that bill was killed. And then there's a lot of bills that come through that are to extend the date of the repeal the income tax or the sales tax on motels, hotels, restaurants. And I don't agree with renewing those bills. When the first year that I was in Jackson, I thought, well, you know, they've already put this bill, this 7% sales tax on the motels, restaurants, and places. Why are we going to vote no if they wanted that sales tax increased? It's like a 2% or 3%. If they wanted an increase, why would we vote no on it? So I always voted yes on that bill. Well, it is a tax increase because it was explained to me later, which made a whole lot of sense. yes, the city did ask for that increase, but it's to be repealed in 2 years or 3 years. And when we go back and repeal it and lengthen it, allow it to them to go on and charge us tax, that means that we are increasing taxes, the legislature. And that's not the way it should be. It should be the people of that city. And just for an example, I wrote down a few of the cities, and there's like dozens of them, but Baldwin, Waynesboro, Macomb, Pascagoula, Batesville, all of those taxes were repealed and extended. The repealer was extended. So now they're going to charge those taxes for another 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. So basically, if I voted yes on that, then I just voted to increase taxes. So this year, I voted no. Last year, I voted no. After it was explained to me, because the first year I was there, I didn't understand it. I just thought that we were doing the will of the people. But the people, when they asked for that tax, they wanted that tax to be cut off in 2 to 3 years. Another bill that has not come out of committee, and I'm disappointed that it has not, is term limits. I don't know about y'all, but I think we should have term limits. And I dropped the bill this year. Chris McDaniel's dropped it several years. Melanie Sojourner has dropped it. And the last 4 years, every year, Delbert Hoseman kills it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Delbert Hoseman doesn't have the power to do that. Yes, he does. He's the one that appoints the committee chairs, and he's the one that tells the committee chairs what's going to come out of their committee and what's not. He's the one that sends these bills to those committees. So yes, he does have the power to kill those bills. And I'll keep dropping it as long as I'm there and fighting to try to get term limits, because we need it. You know, our governor has term limits, our lieutenant governor has term limits, every legislature should. Because you stay there long enough that you become comfortable, then you start falling into the pockets of the leadership, and then things just don't get done like they should. Now, I'll probably get reprimanded for all of these things that I'm saying, but that's okay. We need some true, hardcore, conservative Republicans and not rhinos, and we've got both. There's a bill that I dropped this year that I'm terribly disappointed that it did not come out of committee, but from what I was told, anything that had my name on it, Delbert Hoseman is like, it's DOA in the committee. So, because Delbert and I don't get along, and maybe I shouldn't put it that way, but No Patient Left Alone was the bill that I dropped in committee that I wanted to come out. And I'll tell you one reason why. There's many reasons, but one, my mother died the last year of her life, the last week of her life. She was in the hospital, very conscious. She could call me on the phone. She had COVID. She had COVID pneumonia. She could call me on the phone, but we could not go and visit her. And then the last week of her life, the very last week, that was the week before, but the last week of her life, she spent in a nursing home unconscious, and then I could go and stay with her in the nursing home. So this bill is very dear, close and dear to my heart, because if I could have had that last week that she was conscious and to spend with my mother, I could have made a lot of memories that maybe I don't have now. So that bill is dear to me. And then another bill that I dropped or introduced, you're going to laugh at this one. Biden is wanting to kill our gas stoves, take our gas stoves away from us. Well, I dropped a bill to protect our gas stoves in the state of Mississippi, but it didn't go anywhere. But he's still after the gas stoves, and I said, you know what, when he comes and knocks, I have somebody come knock on my door and tell me they want my gas stove, I'm going to say my gas stove identifies as electric. I'm going to keep it one way or another. So last year, there's another bill that I really want to talk about. Last year, the redistricting, and I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but everybody knows that we lost a Republican district, and we have 36 Republicans on that Senate floor. We have 16 Democrats on that floor. There's no reason that we should have lost the one Republican district. I went to the well, I fought to keep that Republican district, and I quoted, I'm not asking you to vote for any particular senator. Of course, we know that Melanie Sojourner is the one that's over that district. I said, I'm asking you to vote no on Delbert's map because I'm asking you to fight for the district, not the senator. you don't know who will have that district in time to come. But we didn't have enough true Republicans to vote no on his map. You can go back and look, and I think there was maybe 5 of us. That's it. If we had true Republicans on that floor, they would have voted no. They would have said, no, we're not going to lose our Republican district. Now, word got to me, well, we had to do that to protect this district up here around Jackson and all. There is no excuse, none whatsoever. You can tell me anything you want to tell me. There's no excuse to do away with our Republican district. We are Republicans and we should fight for it. And now what I'm going to say, thank you. Melanie Sojourner is the one that lost the district. She's out. She was the second most conservative voter on that floor. She's gone. She won't be back. Now, in all of the years past that I've been there, this year and 3 prior, when Melanie and Chris would vote no on these tax repeals, I didn't understand it. When they would vote no on Democrat bills, I did understand it. But then they would vote no on some other bills that maybe I didn't understand that first year. Well, I'm not above asking for somebody to explain something to me. If I don't know, I don't know, and it doesn't bother me to say, I don't know, somebody explain. Well, every time that Melanie and them voted no, there was always somebody in the back of the room to meow or make their noises or make their fun or whatever. So Melanie continued to vote her heart. She continued to vote Republican. And then last year, she had a bill to come up on the floor, and it was a bill to earmark or tag some of the funds from the casinos to go toward infrastructure. Well, when she brought that bill up, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but there were almost every senator on that floor screamed out no as loud as they could. And that was one of the most embarrassing moments, because I'm like, this is like some adolescence here. Why would you do that? You're punishing her. The only reason they screamed out no is because she always voted her heart on her Republican bills. And so they were punishing her for her votes, is basically what they were doing. And it embarrasses me, and it breaks my heart that anybody gets treated like that. They should not get treated for their vote, especially when they're voting Republican. Okay, that being said, then later Senator Branning, she took Melanie's bill and brought it back and tagged it in one of her bills, and it passed just like that. So that's proof right there. The only reason they all screamed out as loud as they could was because they were punishing Melanie Sojourner for her votes. Another thing that has been brought to the attention of the Republican women, and I want it brought to the attention of any and everybody that's interested in politics, go to legislature.mississippi.gov. legislature, not TOR, legislature. And you can go on that website, you can play around on it and find anything you want. You can see every bill that hits the floor, every bill that gets killed, every bill that the governor has signed through, every bill that you think should have gone through. You can check it out. And if you have issues or you have questions, you can call your legislature and ask them, why is this bill still sitting in committee? Why did this bill not make it to the floor? Why did this bill get voted down? Or why did this bill pass? So I encourage anybody to go to legislature.ms.gov and always take a look at what's going on. Now, there's another bill that passed this year, and I'm not proud of it. I voted no on it. And this bill is 12-month postpartum. And I got 5 minutes. Okay. This bill is a 12-month postpartum bill. To me, that's a Democrat bill. Any of these young ladies that end up pregnant and they qualify for Medicaid, they're already covered. That baby is covered. We give them 6 weeks. After that 6 weeks, there are programs out there to help these ladies with their children and help them with their doctor bills. But we chose, and they're saying it's because Roe v. Wade got turned over. We didn't choose, but they chose in Jackson to give them 12 months postpartum. So now we're going to pay for that doctor bill. We're going to pay for all of the mother's doctor bills, the baby's doctor bills, their care for a year. And I do not agree with that. To me, that's a Democrat bill. I don't know about anybody else in here, but when my husband and I had our child, we worked and we had insurance and we took care of our daughter. So you're going to do questions later, right? Okay. That's all I have to say, and when we come back for questions, you're welcome to ask. Thank you.
Look, I'm gonna give y'all, I told I got enough for everybody. This is sort of a recap of these sessions. Yeah, so like Kathy said, Steve Massengill. Get ahead of myself. So I represent Benton, Marshall, Union, Lafayette, and Pontotoc, starting in this new district. Kathy said we redrew districts, and they change every 10 years. So mine is very spread out, very rural area. I think I go from the Tennessee line all the way down to Turnpike, if y'all know where that is in Pontotoc. So, and Paxton and Hurricane, then down to, all the way down to Oxford. So my district's pretty wide. And I know Kathy's is too. I think she has 5 counties like I do. But she has about twice as many people as I do too. So that's part of that. So this is sort of just a session recap. And I'm going to try not to hit everything because Neil's got to have something to talk about. So I'll just hit the high spots here. This Roe versus Wade was overturned last summer. And the speaker tried to do he called it a Speaker's Commission on Life. So they tried to come up with some packages of different things to help, these parents that, didn't want the babies, for like foster care, these pregnancy resource centers, all these places try to help these parents that, not the postpartum thing. The speaker was not for that. I don't think it would have passed until Tate sort of got behind it for some reason, and then that sort of changed the tide on that, and it got passed. But this is just some other things. It's House Bill 1671. The ones of you got the paper there, y'all can sort of see that. But it's just different things. It increased pregnancy resource center tax credits to 3.5 million, from 3.5 million to 10 million. So that was a big deal. It give free health care to low-income families, a $4 million tax credit for that. So there was just different things that Speaker thought his commission had come up with. I think that was sort of joint with the Senate on a few things. And then I know that Senate Bill 2696, that doubled the tax credit for adoption expenses for Mississippi kids. So that's, it's pretty expensive to adopt. And that was just trying to help with that. And a few other things. This one here, the name of it kills me. It's reform our laws regarding safe haven baby drop boxes. It's like we're dropping a baby in a box. I'm like, what? You got to come up with a better name. But so that just sort of made it to where these families could, mamas that didn't want their babies could drop them off somewhere and not be charged with anything. So that was one thing. She hit on the transgender thing, and I agree that is, it's a big deal. They're not old enough to make that decision by any means. Or the parents shouldn't be able to make that decision, but when they get to 18, they're considered, they go to the Army, I reckon they consider an adult, so they have to make their own choice at that point. So that was, that was a good thing. Another one, House Bill 1315, this required vendors to block obscene and sexual-oriented material for online resources through K through 12. So I thought that was another good thing we did this year. And Senate Bill 2346, That means if, and this is what they called it, the porn bill. So if you have to prove that you're over 18 to be able to pull it up on your iPad or phone, made that illegal for minors to do that too. Education, we put more money into education this year this went directly into the schools, put $100 million. That's for classroom needs, textbooks, computers, stuff like that. It cannot be spent on salaries, administration, and that kind of stuff. We did a couple of things on the Second Amendment that protected that. Everybody's always, one of the big things in Mississippi, if you want to get a yes vote, just say something about guns. We're all for you, So that's always a fun vote there. Ensuring election integrity, we increased funding for that, trying to strengthen our voter rolls. And we had a bill, Senate Bill 2358, prevented ballot harvesting. Some places they do that, which is amazing, but they didn't. So those bills are supposed to help with that. I'm sure a lot of y'all heard about House Bill 1020 dealing with Jackson, trying to help their Capitol complex. If you don't know Jackson's a mess, it is. So we just tried to, Capitol Police, give them a little more jurisdiction down there and where they could patrol a little more. I feel a lot better when I'm around the Capitol because I know we have Capitol Police, and if you're out somewhere they're not there, it's a little bit different. I'll give you a little story. During session, one of my colleagues came to Jackson. He has a house tag on his truck. He had a saw in the back of his truck. He was taken downtown Jackson to get it worked on, down close to the zoo, which is in a pretty bad part of the town. So he's driving down the road. Jackson Police pulls him up, walks up to him. He sees his house tag, so he knows he's a house member. He said, "Sir, what are you doing down here?" He said, "Well, I got a saw. I'm running down here to the shop, just down the street here." And he told him where it was. He said, "Well, I know where it is, but you will get killed down here." He said, "Well, I think I'll be all right." He said, "No, sir." He said, "I'm going to escort you down here. We're going to get your saw out, and then I'm going to get you out of here." So that is how bad Jackson is. So, and that was an African-American officer that told my buddy, how dangerous it was. So that's how bad Jackson is. And, despite what all they say, we are trying to make Jackson a better, safer place. I mean, right now they're fighting over getting the garbage picked up. They have went, I think it was 18 days maybe, without garbage pickup because they couldn't agree on the contract. And if you saw any of the video of some of their meetings, you should watch it. And you can see why we try to help them. And we're not trying to take their power away. We're just trying to help them. But sometimes they need it took away. So that was one of the big things we did. We did expand the Capitol Police jurisdiction, and I think that was a good thing. We're always trying to figure out ways. Senate Bill 2101 increased minimum mandatory sentencing for fleeing a law officer. We're always trying to do stuff for, help our law officers. And I think that is a great thing too. Our troopers, our deputies, all of them. And here's a pretty good one. And I don't know how some people will feel about this. If my wife was going to do it, I'd be bad concerned. But it was Senate Bill 2079. It established the School Safety Guardian Act. And that sets up a training program and I assume somebody in the school picks this or they volunteer, but they can be trained to where they can carry a firearm, in the school. But now they have to go through a pretty good training for it. I wouldn't want my wife doing it, but I mean, if I was there, I wouldn't mind doing it. But I think that is a good thing. If I can't imagine Potts County, Hickory Flat, Marvel, any of these little schools where there's only one, if there is one officer there, if I was going in to do something bad, I would take that one out first, then do what I was going to do. So at least this way, there's, they don't know who all's got the guns. So I think that would be great, and we'll see how it works out. I'll talk a little bit about the budget. Our state and general budget this year of everything, federal and everything, was $27 million, y'all. A lot of money for Mississippi. The state budget, I think, was 6.7. MDOT, which I'm on transportation, do a lot of stuff with transportation. This year, MDOT budget was $1.4 million, and state aid was $210. And then Senate Bill 3120, we put in another 620 million for roads and bridges, right up here. You're gonna see it, and hopefully in the near future, going from the county line to Ripley. It's gonna be 4-lane. We got about 200 million going to that. Hopefully that gets started in the near future, that we can do that. But at 450 million, it went into capacity projects, and 200 million will come out of that. And I had 100 million in roads, emergency roads and bridges. And then every year, we get to ask for projects and stuff. I know I asked for some for the county, Union County, and got I think $1 million, and I'm sure Kathy all got some money, hopefully, that they can use and help them out. But there was 102 million in that. So there's a lot of money going to roads and bridges in our state right now, by far the most ever. So hopefully the roads are gonna get better, only road most people worry about is the one they drive on. That's usually it. You want the one in front of you, your house to look good and ride good, and the ones you drive by. Other than that, you usually don't worry about a road. But if those are not good, you're usually concerned. So hopefully this year we're gonna fix a lot of those and move on from there. Thank y'all.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. My name is Whaley, and I'm your state senator representing District 10, which encompasses Lafayette, Marshall, Tate, and Union counties now. So it's an honor to be here with each and every one of you. One of the challenges of coming to these forums is being a Whaley, I always have to go last. It doesn't matter where I'm at. My good friends always try to get the good deals. So I'm going to hit on some of these and try to go into a little bit more detail on some of these. And I'm going to start off with something that's all very, very important to each of us, especially as Republicans, as Mississippians, as Americans. Election integrity, I think that's a huge issue that we deal with, and one that we have to be proactive in addressing year after year as challenges arise. We spoke about Senate Bill 2358, which is the ballot harvesting bill. And a little bit more of that, kind of what you're dealing with and what you're seeing in other states as well as parts of Mississippi. You have people who are receiving absentee ballots, and they're actually voting those ballots and turning those in. And we're finding that across the country. We feel like that's one of the ways that the illegal voting scams are going on. So we wanted to take a chance to bring that back and to put some teeth in that harvesting bill, to make it illegal. So absolutely no ballot harvesting in the state of Mississippi, which is one thing going along with several other election integrity bills that we have passed, as well as the paper ballots, which I really, really like, and I hope you do too. Another thing, House Bill 1310, that was the voter roll bill. There was a lot of negative press on that, and I can't think of any reason to be negative about that bill unless you want to see the voter rolls and the mess that they're at. If you look at the voter rolls across the state, you have several counties with over 100% voter roll. And what that means is there are more people on the voter roll than there are in the county. They're not cleaning up their voter rolls. So this is going to make the circuit clerks and the election commissioners go in and clean up these voter rolls. That way we can make sure that there's no scams going on, no illegal voting going on with that. So that's another great thing. Another thing I want to talk to you all about, education. We talk a lot about education, and one thing that I really wanted to brag on, Mississippi is looking at alternative education movements and motions of which we're going. And one of the great things that we're doing are career coaches. We put a real emphasis on that. And had a conversation earlier, and a lot of the credit goes to Three Rivers and the Create Foundation here in North Mississippi. They're really the creators of this. They're the ones that got this program started, and it's taken off across North Mississippi for sure, and we're trying to get it across the rest of the state. So we're trying to get more money into that, placing career coaches into these schools where they can work with these students, try to tell them about paths to being a productive citizen. And that's one of the most important parts of education, I think, because if you miss the employment part on the end, the education part on the beginning is a waste of time, in my opinion. So I think that the career coaches are essential and vital in bringing Mississippi up into the future. Also, Representative Massengill, he spoke on Senate Bill 2079, and I was happy to be a co-author on that bill, as well as my colleague, Senator Chism. We were both co-authors on that bill, worked with Senator Hill extensively on that, had a little bit of input on it. That's where we're going to be able to put more protection for our greatest asset, and that's our children. Getting more security in our schools, allowing the people who are closest to our students the opportunity to protect them. I do not want to see an instance like what has happened in Nashville or anywhere else across the state happen somewhere close to home. So I was very, very proud to be able to work with Senator Hill on that bill and to co-author it and to essentially see it signed by the governor. So I'm very, very excited about that one. Roads and bridges, that's something that's very important to all of us. Representative Massengill mentioned the $620 million additional MDOT funding. That is over what was previously appropriated the prior year. So that's a lot of capacity projects that are going on. But one thing that a lot of people miss in this is there is a program called the Emergency Road and Bridge Fund. And out in our county roads in the rural parts of the state where most of us live, there are bridges that are marked and are being closed, and it's causing us to have to go around the world to get to and from, and it's a big deal. So this puts $100 million a year into that program. That way we can get these bridges up to par. That way we can, as citizens, get to and from, but we can also get valuable resources to market to keep Mississippi going, especially to keep the rural parts of this state still going. We cannot forget about our rural parts. They're very vitally important. So I'm very, very proud of that. Proud to work with Senator Branning on that because I sit on that committee. House Bill 912 was one of my favorite bills that came through the legislature this year. I was a co-author on the Senate version of it, worked with Senator Blackwell on it, and basically what it does, that's the Suppressor Act bill. And I think that your Second Amendment right is one of the most vital rights that we have. And a little bit more detail about that bill. It is not the end solution to what we're doing. You can't, as the bill says, you would be able to manufacture a suppressor in the state of Mississippi. It would have to be marked made in Mississippi and would have to remain in Mississippi. Could not go outside of the geographical locations. But the next part to this, it's not automatic. This is a bill that gets us into a lawsuit with Texas, with the Supreme Court, to bring this forward, because we're arguing with the ATF that the suppressor is not a part of the firearm, so therefore it is not federally regulated. That's the whole purpose of this bill, with the end game that once that ruling comes as we hope it is favorable, this will go into law automatically with a trigger. No pun intended. Now, also, bill that I'm very, very excited about, and one that will get very little recognition, but myself and Representative Massengill, we both authored this bill. I authored it in the Senate, he authored it in the House, and that was the drone bill. You all have seen these remote control drones. So these drones are a very, very big part of our life that you really don't know. Your state agencies, MDOT, police agencies, MEMA, Mississippi Emergency Management, great folks. I enjoy working with them, so I'll make sure that is said. They use these drones for all types of different things, a lot of aerial assessments. So what we're finding out, most of the drones that are made or being used are made by a company called DJI Technology. That is a Chinese company. So the problem with this is that drone, when it fires up, all of the information that it is recording is sent back to a server in China. So we're sending all of our vital, critical infrastructure to China. Senate Bill 2853 has been signed by the governor, and I'm so happy about that. That says that all drones used and owned by the state of Mississippi must be made by a domesticated manufacturer with no Chinese parts. So I am very, very happy with that. And we did a lot of research on that. And I wanted to go a step further. I wanted to include phones, radios, all other types of technology. But what we found out was that we just didn't have all those answers. But we had them on the drone, so we took our drone bill, and we're going to get back, and hopefully we're going to get back, and we're going to go to work on that bill and take it a step further next year. Myself and Senator Hill are already working on that, so we're very excited about that. Another thing, being that I am the chairman of the Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks Committee, we have done a great amount of work on our state parks. That was kind of an issue that I took when I came in, having that chairmanship, seeing the dilapidated state of our state parks. So over the last 4 years, we have worked extensively, and we have put resources into these state parks, trying to make them to where they're self-sufficient, to where they can attract people, and where we can be proud of them as we are, as other people are of theirs in other states. So that was one thing that I am very, very excited about. I appreciate Senator Chism. She sits on my committee, and I've enjoyed working with her as well. But as far as the wildlife bill of the year, was one that a lot of people probably have no idea about, and that is dealing with the qualifications of our conservation officers. To be a conservation officer in the state of Mississippi, you must hold a degree in biology or criminal justice, or you must have 5 to 10 years of law enforcement experience. A lot of trouble to become a game warden when it is one of the hardest fields to be in. We realize that we have a problem in recruiting game wardens, so we dropped those qualifications, and I'm working on that to bring that back. I don't think you should have to have that degree in biology or criminal justice to be a game warden, to be an officer. You don't have to have that to be an officer in any other type of law enforcement. So working on those qualifications, cutting that red tape, I think that is vital to across all different fields. So I was proud to work on that, and I appreciate Senator Chism supporting me on that as well. The thing about state government that we very rarely talk about, you always hear about spending, spending, spending. One thing that I'm happy to tell you is that over the last 2 years, Mississippi has paid off over $870 million worth of state debt. Our debt total is the lowest that it has been in 24 years. And I think that's a great thing. We're working on getting that debt limit lowered from years and years of Democrat control. We've been in power for a short amount of time, but we're doing everything we can to get that in order. I'm very excited about that. $436 million this year, and that does not include, we talked about the projects and what we've been able to get. Union County is getting their share of that too. The lower, about $2.8 million coming to Union County this year. That is not bonds, folks. That is paid for. That check is written. That is debt that the state of Mississippi does not have to worry about. So I'm very, very excited about that. I look forward to answering questions at the end. I appreciate you all for having me and allowing me to come and see you. Thank you.